everyone, Laura here from Kin, and we are coming to you today from my kitchen. So this is exciting. This is the first in the kitchen recipe tutorial from my kitchen, my house. And today we're making summer rolls. This is one of our favorite meals or snacks to make, and we want to share it with you. It was a really popular item on our menu when we used to have our restaurant. So I don't know who came up with summer rolls, but it works really well here in Turks and Caicos where we live because it is summer all year round. Okay, so I wanted to start by just giving you a quick show and tell of everything that you're going to need to make this recipe. So let's start off with the tofu. So we want to use an extra firm tofu that I have here, ideally organic, non-GMO, all those good things. And then we want to have our baking tray and a silicone baking mat ready to go, and of course an oven. And then we've got all of our veg that we're going to be stuffing our summer rolls with. So I've got that all here cleaned and ready to prep for you, and I'm going to show you all the different prepping techniques that we're going to use today. And then we of course have also our rice paper here to wrap up our rolls in. And then we've got all of our dip ingredients. The dip is like the star of the show, really. It really needs to taste really flavorful and delicious, and it pulls this whole meal together with all the flavor. It's really good. You could almost just spoon it into your mouth. You'll see. And then we've got our bowls here. So we've got one bowl to prep our cabbage in, and we have another bowl to put our hot water in that we're gonna use for the rice paper, to soften the rice paper. And then just some handy kitchen tools. So we've got a spatula, a couple spoons, because we always need those, some measuring cups, measuring spoons, and a grater. So you could either use a vegetable peeler, the little hand peeler, or you could use one of these guys, which is what I'm using today, and I'll use the largest setting for the peel, and then a high-speed blender. Okay, so that about covers all of the things that you need. So I'm going to clear the space and we can get started with preparing our baked tofu. Let's marinate and bake our tofu and get it all ready for our summer rolls. So I'm going to start by just firing up the oven, and we're going to turn the oven on to 350. That seems to be our lucky number. We always use 350. And then let's start to prep the tofu by just cutting into it. Make sure you've got a sink nearby because these packets are filled with water. So you kind of have to like dump out the water first. And then I'm gonna just show you how we're gonna get a little bit of the excess water out of the tofu brick as well. So make sure your hands are clean. Take it out, and it's kind of like a sponge, so it's really holding a lot of the moisture. So I just firmly press with my hands. You can see quite a bit of liquid. Can you see this? This liquid coming off right into the sink. And I'll squeeze in from the other sides too. You don't want to press too hard or it will break and like crumble. So just do this a few times first over the sink, and then we're going to get in and dab off any excess water with a towel. There's all sorts of methods. You can look this up or Google this, but people like put weighted books over a towel and let it sit and really get a lot of the moisture out. We don't find that super necessary, so we'll just do a couple squeezes. And then you can either use a dish towel, so something that you can just wash and keep reusing, obviously. I have like a nut milk bag here that's a fabric nut milk bag, so I'm gonna use that to just press out some excess liquid. And if you don't wanna use either of those, you can of course use paper towel, but we like to encourage reusing things. So we like the dish towel option, or if you've got a nut milk bag, you can do that. And yeah, there's quite a bit of moisture still there, you can see. I can keep pressing though. Get a little more out. This just helps absorb the whatever flavoring, whatever marinade you're using on it will help to really absorb the flavor a little bit more by taking out some of the water moisture. Okay, that's good. That goes there. Now we're gonna cut this into steaks, so about 1/2 inch thick steaks like this. Okay, so just about this size. Yeah. And you'll see we'll get quite a few marinated tofu sticks out of this. So I like to make a whole pack of this and just keep it in the fridge. So if I want to keep making summer rolls through the week, this step is done. Or if I just want to chop some of this marinated baked tofu up and add it to a salad, it's just a really good source of protein, especially for a vegetarian. It's soybean, so high fiber, high protein. So these are our steaks that we're going to marinate. I'm going to just grab our tray and we can basically do the marinade right on the tray. So we've got our silicone baking mat and we can just place these babies along here. And so this is the first slice, and you'll see when we're all done that we're going to go back in and cut them into sticks. So we've got 8 steaks out of 1 brick of tofu. And first I'm gonna actually drizzle on our tamari. So just drizzling it over, this is gonna absorb into each steak first, and then we'll coat it with some olive oil so that we get kind of a bit of a crunchy texture on the outside of the tofu. Okay, so that's good there. And you can flip them so that you coat both sides with the tamari. It's pretty quick and easy. Get in there with your hands. If you want to be really dainty, you can of course use a brush, like one of those little basting brushes. Trying to keep this as simple as possible. This is like how I do it at home, even on a weeknight, even when I'm tired. Just use that. Okay, so this is our olive oil, and we're just gonna do a little drizzle over each one, and then we'll give them a flip and make sure they're well coated on both sides, okay? I probably didn't use more than 1 tablespoon there, so it's just a little drizzle. And I'm gonna get in there with my fingers and give both sides a wipe, flip them once or twice. Little massage for the tofu, right? I'm sure you can hear my baby in the background. She's here because we're at home. All right, so that's it. That's ready to go. I'm gonna place that in our preheated oven and probably give it about 25 to 30 minutes. You can keep checking it, make sure it's about the texture that you want, but we like it to be kind of hardened a little bit on the outside, even a little bit crispy, and still soft in the center. Okay, so let's pop that in. Next, we're gonna prep all of our veggies to go inside of the summer rolls. So while our tofu is marinating and starting to smell the kitchen up really nicely, let's get all this going. I like to start by prepping the cabbage because there's a little mini recipe within prepping the veggies, which is that we're gonna marinate one of our cabbages, our green cabbage. So we'll start with this guy, and we want to slice really fine ribbons because, you know, nobody wants to like chomp down on a really big chunk of cabbage. So it's really important the way that we prep the veggies to make them palatable. So we're gonna ribbon these guys, and then we'll massage and marinate it so it softens it up a little bit. And this adds a really nice filling to the roll that's pleasant to chew on too. What's awesome about these summer rolls is we're getting so many veggies in, all wrapped up, nice and tight. So we're getting lots of vitamins and minerals. Cabbage is really good for our gut health and our gut microbiome. So I'm gonna take this and place it in our separate bowl here. And we're gonna give it a little squeeze and massage. So giving lots of love to our food today. This just helps to break down the cellulose or the cell wall that makes this really firm. So first we just massage the heck out of it. Get a little exercise for the wrists and the hands. Or if you wanna get out some stress, give some cabbage a squeeze. And then we have a little bit of tamari again. So the tamari adds that nice umami flavor, that kind of that salty flavor without needing to use sea salt. So We're gonna put a little bit of tamari, not too much, probably about 1 to 2 tablespoons. And then we have some toasted sesame oil, which adds a really nice flavor. We're gonna drizzle that all over the cabbage. Okay, and then you can give it a little toss with your hands again so that you really get everything nicely coated. And we do this step first so that it can sit and like absorb all the flavor while we chop up the rest of our veggies. Here we go, we'll set that aside. Give my hand a quick rinse. Okay, next up, we can chop up our purple cabbage. And basically we're making a whole mise en place to work from. So as you start to prep your veggies, you can set them along the top of your board so you're kind of ready to go when you start to use your rice paper. So same thing with the red cabbage, we want to cut it really, let's knob off the end. We want to cut it really fine because we're going to be chewing this. And this one we're keeping pretty like hard. We're not going to massage it. So let's cut it nice and fine. Make sure you've got a sharp knife. Purple cabbage or red cabbage, whichever way you like to call it, adds such a vibrant color to plant-based food. So we like to add it into our stir fries, chop it up and add it into like a salad or a coleslaw, and then in our rolls. Set that there. So if you have the little end of the cabbage, just take that off, nip that off. And you can save all your scraps and add them to a soup broth. We like to make a healing broth soup with a lot of our little scraps and ends of our veggies. Okay, so we're gonna set this over here. And let's head into our spring onion next. I always take off like that first one. Keep it, you can use that. And we'll nip off the end. And so I cut the spring onion in half first, and then we're gonna slice down the center, and we'll slice again, because it's nice to not have like a really thick piece of onion in your mouth, but rather just these like thin slivers like this in the roll. And we really only need to add one. Some people don't even like spring onions, so of course you're welcome to omit it or any of these ingredients and change them out. That's the beauty of these rolls. We're calling these ones summer rolls because this is our recipe that we've used for our summer rolls, but these are actually salad rolls, and you can fill the rice paper with any types of ingredients. This is a little bit more Thai style with the ingredients we're using today. There we go. Okay, so there's our onion. Let's get into the carrot. So if you had a hand peeler, you could use that and just strip off these beautiful thin little ribbons. I don't have one, so I'm gonna use my knife. Bear with me as I get in and make some tiny matchstick strips, the best that I can with this knife. I'll show you them so you can see kind of what size I'm creating. So they're pretty skinny and thin. Hope you can see that. We'll start to add that to the mise en place. There we go. Let's do another one. So I've got to cut this guy in half because our rice paper roll is only so big. So we can't have like dangling ends coming off. Ooh, this one's easier. I'm in the flow. This one's easier to slice. Here we go. I like to always just prep extra veg too. So if you feel like having some different rolls tomorrow, you've got some of your veg prepped, you can store it in the fridge just with a little bit of water and in an airtight container, and that'll keep it pretty fresh so it doesn't dry out, and use it within the next 2 days probably would be my recommendation. So some of these ribbons are a little thick, so I'm just going in and halving them. It's all about the texture, people. Okay, there we go. There's our carrots. Now, I've got our herbs here, so I'll just line them up as well. We're gonna have some basil and parsley today in our rolls. I really like using cilantro in these rolls, but there wasn't any at the shop. So just get some herbs in, whatever herbs you like. I like parsley and basil. Basil will go really well in these. And that adds extra nutrition. Herbs are so potent with nutrition and they're heavy metal detoxifiers, so those are a good thing to add in. Okay, we've got our cucumber here. I'm gonna take off the end and I'm gonna slice off this skin here. If you've got some nice organic cucumbers, go ahead and keep the skin on. We're gonna take most of it off. We've washed this really well, but we'll omit that. And I'm gonna use the conventional big cheese grater. Entering, stage right, left. We're gonna use this on the big setting because I don't have a hand peeler. But if you do have a hand peeler, I would use that. This is gonna give us a little pile of ribbons. Let's see. Can you see them falling out? This is just a little messier than I like. I really wish I had the hand peeler, but I don't. So let's go to the other side now and see what we get. You're gonna have to go back and organize these ribbons. They're all loosey-goosey all over the board. And cucumber is amazing. It's really high in vitamin C and it adds that really fresh element to our food, to a salad, to these rolls. Okay, this is getting a little precarious now as you get to the center, like the core of the cucumber that's all squishy. So I'm gonna stop there so I don't make too much of a mess. Okay, well, you can take your time and just get these really neat and tidy, or you can just make a little pile. It doesn't matter. They're thin enough that it won't matter if they're kind of like folded over themselves inside of your roll. There we go. Clear some space here. And lastly, let's prep our red pepper. This adds a really nice punch and crunch. And red peppers are, again, loaded with nutrition, but in particular vitamin C with these guys. And we're gonna slice thin strips. So you can place probably about 2 strips of red pepper in each roll. This is the only veggie I wouldn't prep and leave in the fridge for the next day or 2 because it tends to go slimy a little bit. As the edges start to oxidize, it gets sort of this slimy coating. So hold your red pepper and slice it fresh when you're gonna add it to any of your recipes. Okay. We're in good shape here, guys. Got our red pepper. These guys can go over here, and we're just about ready to pull our tofu out, but we've got some time left. It's still baking away, so let's make our dip next. We're gonna make our dipping sauce now, and for these summer rolls, we're making almond dipping sauce. This is so good. You could eat it by the spoonful. So we're gonna start with our almond butter, and this is an unsweetened, unsalted, creamy almond butter that we're using. We've got 3/4 of a cup going into our high-speed blender. Use a spatula, make sure you get all of this goodness out. That can go there. And then we're gonna add some juiced ginger. So this is fresh ginger root that we've juiced up. We've got 2 tablespoons. That's gonna add some really nice spice and zest to our dip, and it's immunity boosting. So is our garlic. Garlic has so many nutritional benefits to it. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, really great for immunity as well. We're gonna throw 1 clove in. That's quite a big clove, but we love garlic. So I'm happy with this size, but you can of course go smaller on your garlic clove. And then we're using maple syrup as our natural sweetener. We love using maple syrup as an alternative to refined sugar. This has some nice B vitamins in it, so it's got some added nutrition. And you know, we're Canadian. We like the maple syrup. There we go. And we've got tamari again. It's making an appearance in every step of the way. So again, that's gonna add our kind of salt and umami flavor. And then we have a pinch of cayenne for a little bit of heat, which is nice to have. 2 pinches. We like a little extra spice. And just a pinch of sea salt just to round out the flavors. And then we need to add some more liquid. So we have a 1/2 cup of water that we're adding. Let's blend this up. Voila! Creamy, it smells perfect. We've done this recipe over and over again, so I know we're gonna be tasting delicious here. So I'm just gonna pour this off into our glass jar. And I'm doing this because we've got a lot of dip here. We're not gonna eat all of this today, despite the fact that I said I could eat it by the spoonful. So I'm gonna pour this off so that we can just add a little bit to a ramekin when we're ready to plate our rolls. And the rest, I'll just put the lid on and we'll store it in the fridge for another day. And this will keep in the fridge for up to 5 days. Okay, you're gonna wanna get in there with a spatula and get all of that extra goodness out because it's like gold. All right, so we're ready. We're gonna just let the tofu cool and then we'll slice it up and we can put these rolls together. We are ready to roll. I have water boiled on the stove. If you have a kettle, you could use that because we need some nice hot water for our rice paper. So I'm gonna pour in some of this piping hot water and we'll save a little, and then I'll add just some tap water so that we can start rolling right away. We don't have to wait for this to cool. So it needs to be really, really hot, but obviously not so hot that you're gonna burn yourself. So I'm gonna do a little test for us here. That's hot. I can handle it just a pinch hotter, which always makes for a smoother and more efficient rolling process when it's really nice and hot. And our tofu is all baked up, so I'm just gonna grab a few steaks and we can cut them into sticks, but here you can see nice and browned on the outside and still soft and flavorful on the inside, so they're not like really dried out or anything. And we can cut 3 sticks out of each steak. If you want them bigger, then just cut them in half. I like doing 3 because I'm gonna put 2 sticks in each roll to make sure that we've got tofu all the way along the roll so that every bite has some delicious marinated tofu in it. So we'll add that to our mise en place here. Make sure you leave yourself some space on your board to do your rolling. This is the tiny little area I'm gonna work with. Alrighty, let's start. Now be patient with yourself when you start this process. It can be frustrating depending on how it goes. It takes some patience, some practice, some persistence, not necessarily in that order. Practice, patience, and persistence. The first time I learned the 3 Ps was from my dad when we were skiing. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. And he was giving me the 3 P lecture on the ride up the hill. I probably wasn't doing so hot on the old skis. So a little wisdom that can be applied in all different areas of life, including cooking. Okay, so look, this is all soft, you can see. So I'm gonna use my hands and kind of fan the rice paper out like that so we can get the excess water off. And then lie it on our board. Try to open up the edges the best you can. Don't get too finicky and anal about that, but just open it up nicely. And then we'll start here with our cabbage. So just taking a few strips, lying this across our roll. We've got some space on the ends that we're gonna fold in, so that's fine, just leave a little bit of space there. Let's take 2 sticks of tofu and lie those across. We'll grab one of our nice thin pieces of spring onion. We can take a couple carrot sticks, 2 or 3. Let's just go for it here and see how we do with 4 little sticks in there. And then we're gonna add some basil. So I'll just pluck off a couple leaves here. And if you're using cilantro, we just do like 2 or 3 stems, unless you dislike cilantro, and then you'll use some different herbs. Let's throw some parsley in too, just for that extra nutrition, extra greens, yes please. And then the cucumber, just grab a little pile and try to sort of lay them out across. Can you see our little pile of stuff building up here? Now I want to go in and add some more wet. So I'm going to add this sort of marinated wet cabbage, and then I'll finish it off with a piece of the red pepper, just to kind of tuck the wetter ingredients like towards the inside of the roll. And we can take 2 slices of the red pepper, bam, bam. And now for the rolling. So let's see, you can stretch up the bottom end, and then you've got to wrap and tuck in all the ingredients, and then just start to roll. When you get a little further than halfway up your roll, then tuck your ends in like a little package, like a little gift wrapping, and then keep rolling right to the end. And this rice paper is sticky, so you can see it completely like binds and sticks together and just secures everything nicely in like a little package. Ideally, we're just using 1 roll, but if you're gonna eat these like hours later, if you're trying to prep these for dinner and you're making them in the morning, then you might double wrap them because sometimes the rice paper can split. But we're eating these for lunch, so we're gonna eat them soon. So I'm just gonna set that guy aside, and we're gonna go right into the next one. Water is hot. When you get rolling, it's like a little meditation. Just keep rolling, and about halfway through your roll that's in front of you, you can just slide another rice paper sheet into the hot water, and then it will be like perfectly ready for you to start once you're done the one that's in front of you, if that makes sense. But otherwise, this is a little bit of a wait to soften the rice paper. So you can see that the water's obviously not so hot because I'm holding my fingers in it, but she's pretty warm. There we go. Fan it open, drip off the excess water. You can even kind of scrape it along the edge of your water bowl and then lie it out. And you do want to work sort of quickly because as the rice paper dries, it kind of adheres to the surface that you're working on, especially like a dry wood cutting board. So work swiftly, stay calm, but work swiftly. There we go. Add some basil. And this is why the mise en place is so helpful, because you can just go down the line. We're gonna add our cucumber. And we'd love to share some other recipe ideas with you for making these salad rolls. This is the summer roll version, but you could also do one with lots of greens in it, like romaine and spinach, and maybe add some tempeh, or if you wanted to add it like any kind of animal product, you could as well. As a protein, you can add hummus, get wild, and try out some different variations. There we go. Let's give this a roll, a wrap and roll. What am I missing, guys? Oh, my red pepper. My red pepper on top. What's nice about these rolls too is that we're obviously using all these different veggies. The plant-based kingdom is so vibrant and bright with color that these are like a beautiful food to eat too. And the rice paper is see-through, so you can see all the colors coming through. And when we cut them and plate them, you'll see that we get a nice little view of the inside. It's nice to have visually stimulating food as well. Let's do one more, and then we can plate our rolls, and we'll have like a 6-piece roll with our almond dipping sauce. That'll just be a snack for Lindsay and I, and then we'll have to make some more so we can get a nice lunch in. You top it off with that red pepper, and let's roll this last one out. So tuck the edge under and then kind of pull back on the sheet as you wrap and roll away. Tuck in your ends. You're gonna be a pro at this by the end. Make some for friends, and then you have to make a whole bunch and you get lots of practice in. You'll get better and better as you go, I promise. Okay. All right, we have our 3 rolls, so make sure you've got a nice sharp knife. And we are gonna cut these up and plate them. We'll be right back with a bit of a cleaner scene. Let's plate this. We're gonna slice these. So we like to slice them on an angle at center so that you really get a nice view of the inside, like so. And then you can start to place them, of course, with the inside view facing out, especially if you're making these as like a little appy or as part of a meal for some friends. You can even put some like greens on the side and really jazz this up. I'm pretty sure Lindsay's gonna come on in here and of course come in for the tasting at the end.
Is the food ready?
Yeah, our lunch is ready.
Oh, good.
So lastly, we have our almond dipping sauce, guys, that we're gonna add to our ramekin here, right in the center. Just fill that baby right up because we're gonna be double dipping for sure today. And then this can store in the fridge. Remember, it can stay up to probably 5 days in the fridge in an airtight container.
Yum.
So let's get in and have a taste of these beauties.
All right.
You start on that end and I'll start on this end.
Whoa. I might take a bite first.
Okay. I'm gonna dip. Sometimes the contents spill out. You just have to be okay with that. You could always use a little spoon in your dip and like pour it in. It's so good. Yeah. Get in there and get a good dip. Here we go.
It's good without the dip. It's amazing, obviously. It's gonna be amazing with this.
Mm-hmm. We like these. Can you tell it's a favorite recipe of ours?
So good. The dressing's amazing. You can use that dressing you probably said already, right? Salads.
I didn't, but I said you could eat it by the spoonful because it's so good.
It's a great salad dressing, a nice Thai sort of style salad dressing. Yum. Thanks, Laura.
You're very welcome. We're gonna sit down and eat these. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and that you picked up some good little tips and that you'll try these at home. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you're enjoying what we're sharing, please give us a like, and you can also subscribe to this channel below.
And if you want to follow us along on this journey, you can find us at kin.co or on Instagram at kinsite.